So all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba. European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba for yourself, your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. Always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Joining us here is our pal, Nick Kostos, Audacy Sports. You bet. Nobody is doing it better in the betting world, in the sports betting world, than Nick Kostos these days. He's a married man now. What has changed for you? I don't know if I've had you on the show. Nick, of course, used to join me every week for a couple of years when we were on terrestrial radio. Nick is now married. I don't know if I've spoken to you since then. Have things changed?
I would say it's even more so now. I just do like whatever my wife wants, like to make her happy. Whereas it used to be when she was my fiance and we were living together, it was, yeah, like I should probably do what she wants and make my life easy. Now it's really like that. So it's really just, I don't think people understand. I guess like you could just like get married and be like an idiot and like not do this. But I don't think people that aren't married realize how true the phrase happy wife, happy life is. Like if your wife is happy, like your life is going to be good. And if your wife is unhappy, your life's going to be miserable. Now, I mean, unless you're a sociopath or something, that's my experience, at least after about 6 months.
Now, did the wedding go off without a hitch?
Oh, everything was great. It was awesome. Honestly, it was the best day of my life. And I'm not saying that to be like cheesy. It was awesome. So I turned 40 at the beginning of June. I got married at the end of June. Then we went on our honeymoon to Italy and Greece for a couple weeks. And it was like probably like the best 6 weeks of my life. 2023. And like, look, hopefully I'm not setting myself up for disaster in 2024, but like 2023 was really good. Like a great year for me, like personally, professionally, it's cool. Like the show is odd. Like I have fun doing all my stuff, but this was more of like a personal like year for me than a professional year for me.
And the show is doing great, right? I mean, everything I see and everything I read, it really sounds like you guys are doing terrific.
Yeah, it's good. You know, we added a bunch of new distribution channels this year. We're on Sirius and XM every day. The show is simulcast on Stadium now. Obviously, the MGM sponsorship is awesome for us. Yeah, it's like things are really good. I've got no complaints. It seems like people really like the show. It does well critically, and like our audience is growing. So no complaints. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll do some NFL. We'll do a little bit of college football. But the first thing I got to ask Nick Kostos, who is also a huge pro wrestling fan.
This better be the question that I think it's going to be, because I have a great answer for you if it is.
All right, well, we're going to start off here with some fun with Nick, because he's a huge pro wrestling fan. And last night, you know, was if you're listening to this right now, we got some interviews that are in the can. So we're not talking on Thursday. Right now, it's Tuesday we're recording this. So last night, WWE Monday Night Raw Day 1. Did you catch? Now, you probably weren't watching it live. There's college football going on. There's so much happening. But The Rock returns. Okay, were you watching it live?
So I was on like social Twitter during the football game, and someone tweeted that The Rock had come out. So like, okay, like I need to turn this on.
So and The Rock returns last night.
And I watched the whole thing with Jinder. Yeah, I can give you my opinion on all of it.
Okay, good. That's what we're going to start with here. So The Rock comes out. I've obviously talked about this already, but The Rock comes out. And number one, major surprise that The Rock came out. And then I wasn't even considering what he was there for. And all of a sudden, he asks everyone if he should sit at the head of the table. I mean, Nick, that was pretty fucking cool, man.
It was awesome. And, you know, it's just like, I think you and I have said this before, right? When professional wrestling is good, it's like Shakespeare. It's just the best. I almost want to like, and I'll give you my opinion on like the Rock part in a second. Just like the bait and switch by Triple H with promising like the former world champion to return. Right. And the announcer goes, and whoever the ring announcer is kind of sets it up that like someone's about to come out.
Right.
And she stops talking, and then there's the silence in the crowd, and the crowd's waiting. Like, whose music is about to hit here? Like, what's about to happen? And Jinder's music hits, and they show like all the people's faces in the crowd.
That's good stuff.
I was howling in laughter on my couch. Like it was really, really, really well done and really funny that like you're expecting like, is this going to be MJF? Like, is it Andrade at worst? Like, what is this? And then it's Jinder. It was very funny. Yeah, so the Rock stuff was cool. I kind of think he's running for president. That was also one of my takeaways from it last night with the way he was pumping up Americans. Just like that's as an aside. Yeah, so it was really great. Should the Rock sit at the head of the table, crowd goes ballistic, obviously. So I saw some people say that they think they might do this at Elimination Chamber because it's in Australia. Would be a monster payday for the Rock. Look, like I get that, I guess. I don't know if you're going to do Rock Roman Reigns, how that just isn't a WrestleMania, right?
No
how is that not?
Way.
And like,
I'd be so angry if you don't do that match in the United States. I don't want to sound, xenophobic, all right? But give me a break, all right? Rock Roman. It's
xenophobic. We're wrestling fans. We don't want to have the dream match of the millennium in Australia, in Perth.
Yeah, come on. It needs to be in the United States. It needs to be at WrestleMania, where the entire WWE universe converges every year. We've been talking about this for a couple years now. Now, do I think there's a possibility that Rock is in Elimination Chamber and he wins it to then officially get to meet Roman at WrestleMania? I do think that's a possibility, but this match is happening at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and like, okay, so and like people are like, oh well, what about Cody Rhodes? Like, what about him? Like, what about Raven? What about Cody Rhodes? Like, okay, like Cody Rhodes is cool. Also, like he's not The Rock. I mean, that was not even a question. Like, see you later, Cody. Enjoy
right, like
your feud
Cody's gonna main event and have the exact same opponent WrestleMania 2 years in a row.
I mean, I'm okay with that if like Cody's gonna win. Like that's not terrible. I mean, if like The Rock's the other option though.
Yeah.
So I think this sets up, if they do this here, just like fantasy booking, whatever. First off, like Roman Reigns I think my favorite running bit in the history of professional wrestling is Roman Reigns winning at every WrestleMania when people think he's going to lose. I'm like dying of laughter just thinking about how great it's going to be when Reigns beats The Rock.
He's going to win again.
He's 100% going to win. Yeah. And it's going to be I might go to WrestleMania now because I want to be there when Reigns wins. And I'm curious if because like Reigns obviously is a great bad guy. Reigns is going to be like, Rocky, like you're never around. Like I actually think that Reigns might get in Philly. I think Roman might be the baby face in that match against The Rock.
It's going to be so good.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
So good.
And Roman's going to win. And here's what I do. Roman wins at WrestleMania and then have Cody beat whoever and then put Cody over like the night after WrestleMania.
Well, even just like, why can't Cody win at SummerSlam? That's not a big stage. The major stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that shit was really cool, man.
But also, can I tell something? Like, is this going to be, how long is The Rock going to be around for? Because there's like a Rock CM Punk Super Money match also with what went down with the two of them a number of years ago when Punk didn't get his WrestleMania main event and Rock faced Cena for the second time at MetLife Stadium. So just like WWE's in a really, really great space right now where there's so much they can do and it's like all of it's fun. And it gets you really excited as I haven't thought as a wrestling fan, oh my God, like I need to go to WrestleMania. I think I might need to go this year.
My son and I are going to Royal Rumble this month. We're very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun, man.
It's great.
Yeah. And are you into CM Punk?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't like him really, but yeah, it's awesome to have him back in WWE where, it's like he's not feuding with like Hangman Page. Yeah, I like it. No disrespect to Hangman Page, who's cool, but I mean,
it's cool.
Yeah.
Wrestling's in a great spot
and
right
AEW stinks right now. That would be my other. Yeah, not great.
It's fine. I mean, not having MJF around for a little bit's going to hurt in a very big way. And whenever Will Ospreay makes his, I guess, return/debut when he finishes up his current contract.
Swerve Ospreay's the next big feud, you would think. Like Swerve
is awesome. I'm really into Swerve. He's fantastic. I don't know. We still may be a month or two away from Ospreay, officially starting with AEW, but Swerve's fantastic.
Whatever. Anyway. Just like get me to Reigns, please. And like, please, I want to root for Roman Reigns in that match. Like it's the Yankees in Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah. Like, it's going to be awesome. Really fun. It's going to be really, really fun. College football playoff. So we know what the championship is. All right. Washington, Michigan. But first, give me some thoughts on the bowl season, which in general has been a disaster. Is there any changes to be made? Is anything going to happen in between now and next season?
I'm always honest with you and like the audience. Like bowl season is a 0 for me. I don't pay attention to it. Obviously, like I'm way into the playoff games and like the national title games, or actual like, real football games. But otherwise, it's just like personally for me, and I'll be really quick with this because this is unique to me and like my show. I think my co-host would agree with this. Bowl season has become, like you said, such a cluster with the transfer portal and like the coaches staying, are they leaving, who's playing in the games. I ignore it. Like there's so much other stuff going on in sports, whether it's the NFL, obviously, which occupies so much time. I bet the NBA on a nightly basis. I bet hockey on a nightly basis. Like there's so much happening here. I'm sorry, like I'm not paying attention to, Central Michigan and Miami of Ohio, like in whatever, and like the Pennzoil Bowl. So I don't care is the answer to your question. I'm sure they'll do something or they won't. I don't care. It's a 0 for me. So sorry for that to be the answer.
No, that's okay.
That's just kind of like, I don't think it does nothing for me, even when it's good, really. So I care about the playoff. And then next year, no one is going to care about these bowl games because we're going to have more playoff games.
Does the line on the national championship game, Michigan by 4.5, does that make sense to you? Is that what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, Michigan by more than a field goal, like less than 6 points, I think is perfect. So I won both games last night, which was awesome. I had Michigan and I had Washington, so it was really good. Washington was the one I felt more confident about. Not that they were going to win, just that like all they do is play close games, and now here's another opportunity for them to play a close game. Now, Michigan, I guess, could just kind of, like, Michigan's better, but Washington has the better quarterback. I think I'm almost certainly going to have a ticket on Washington to cover the spread. It's been Washington's MO all year. They get into these really close games, so it's like Washington will play a great team, and it's a 3-point game. And then they'll play a terrible team, and it's a 3-point game. So they're playing a great team this week, and the spread's 4.5. I'll take Washington and like feel pretty good about it. Maybe they don't win, but I do think that I think the game will be close. Like how is it not going to be close? Washington has an NFL quarterback and 3 NFL receivers and a really good head coach. So yeah. I'll take Washington to cover.
And do you feel like this is it for Harbaugh?
Yeah, it does feel like that, right? Because I think like there's a huge suspension waiting for him, I think, from the NCAA still, or at least kind of the specter of it's hanging over. We hired Don Yee, who's like Tom Brady's longtime agent. There's obviously like the Michigan connection there, which whatever. Like I think he's pretty clearly gearing up for one of two things. You don't have to be a genius to figure this out. He's either going to sign a contract with an NFL team or he's going to get another like mega extension from Michigan. It's like one of those two things is going to happen. I would guess that this would be the year, especially if he wins the Natty, that he's out. Mm-hmm. But what else does he have to do there? Like he's won the national championship, and I think he'll peace out.
Let's shift over here to NFL. We got a monster Week 18, all divisional games. Let's start out, though, with your general thoughts on what's happened with the Dolphins the last few weeks. This team had a chance to win the first spot in the AFC, win your final 2 games. They get absolutely throttled by Baltimore, and now it comes down to the final week where win and you're the AFC East champion, lose, and you have no home playoff games, and you are starting the wild card rounds on the road here. Give me some general thoughts on the Dolphins. I feel like you're going to tell me you have felt like they were frauds all year long, and now you've been proven right.
Oh, I definitely don't think that they're frauds. I mean, I think the teams like when it's perfectly healthy, I think they're awesome. And like one of the teams, and you can't say this about every team, that Miami's upside, and like, it's tough to make the case now, but this team's upside was to win a Super Bowl a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then you get like a series of really unfortunate injuries. So, okay, like you lose Jalen Phillips, and then like Van Ginkel is awesome, and he's a fan favorite, and he's doing a really nice job opposite Chubb, who had been a monster. And then like we can have like a Mike McDaniel, like what the hell are you doing conversation. But I mean, just talk about what's happening moving forward here. Now you don't have your top 2 pass rushers. I mean, and look, they can say whatever they want. I don't think Waddle's playing for like a couple weeks. He's a high ankle sprain. Like he's a speed wide receiver. Maybe like you get a 50% Waddle in the wild card game. I don't think there's any way he plays on Sunday night in this game against Buffalo. The good news obviously is for Miami that like they're in even if they lose. I do think they'll lose. I bet Buffalo to win the division and win the AFC like a month ago. So I've been kind of ahead of this year. And look, like it could all. I'm not trying to make it like I'm won my bet already. Miami could win, and then like my bet loses, obviously, and we'll see. I think Miami's very likely to lose the game. The betting market does also. Buffalo's a 3-point road favorite. By the way, the implication there is that Buffalo's a lot better than Miami on a neutral field. But you also have like the motivation that Buffalo, this might be a win and in for the Bills. Miami's already in.
Yeah.
The good news, though, for Miami, the good news, and there is some good news here, is that if Miami loses this game, their very likely opponent in the wild card round is Kansas City.
Yeah.
And it sounds crazy to say, like a good news, like here's Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead. But I think if there were ever a year that you could get the Chiefs, like it would be this year.
Yep.
So I don't think all is lost. Now, do I think Miami's going on the road to Buffalo or to Kansas City potentially in January and winning, or to Baltimore, excuse me? No, like I don't think that's happening. But I don't think like they're definitely a one and done if they have to go to Kansas City.
So you already like Buffalo -3 in this game. Do you like the total one way or the other?
Just to be clear, like I bet Buffalo. Like there were openers on Sunday where like you can't like bet like a ton of money into these things, but Buffalo's money line price opened -120. It was just like, okay, like this is incorrect. Like this is going to go up. So like, would I lay 3 with Buffalo? Maybe. Like that's just like, that's correct. Like Bills to win by 3, I think is fine. I would consider actually betting Miami if it went up to 3.5. So I don't know if I love the point spread now. I think Buffalo will win the game. Total is, where are we at right now? 50. Yeah, man. Maybe the under, honestly, with the way the Bills offense is trending right now. And with no Waddle for Miami, maybe the under, but I need to think a little bit more about the total.
Did Lamar, excuse me.
Yes.
Did Lamar Jackson win the MVP last week?
Done. Over. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So like so it's called bridge jumping in betting, where you have a massive favorite and you feel like the favorite's going to win and you think it's done and you just bet the favorite. I wouldn't recommend people doing that because you do incur some risk, but yeah, like so basically like if people hear this, like I need to bet Lamar, he's a huge favorite. I wouldn't do that, but look, it's your money. You do what you want. I think he's like 99%.
Bridge jumping? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, so like Jaden Daniels was extremely likely to win the Heisman Trophy, and everyone was, oh, I can't believe Penix came in second. Really? You can't? Like all the voting came out like a week before the conference championship games, and no one had Penix to win. So I think everyone knew Jaden Daniels was going to win once Oregon lost. And then you had people betting Jaden Daniels and then having like a very nervous Saturday night at the Heisman ceremony. So look, like you can do that if you want to. I think Lamar's going to win, but like, do you want to incur that risk?
Who else do you like this weekend? Well, I guess Saturday and Sunday. We got 2 huge games Saturday too. Steelers, Ravens. Steelers are trying to get into the playoffs. Ravens are likely sitting there, guys. Texans and Colts, winner that game is in as well.
Yeah, the 2 Saturday games, I'm very likely, and I think I need to place the bet soon. I'm going to bet Baltimore in the game, +4. Baltimore, like exceptionally well coached. I guess like people kind of think that, oh, well, you know, Baltimore's not going to care about the game, whatever. And they are going to rest their guys, obviously. Do people think like they just want to like let the Steelers into the playoffs and just like walk all at their place? Like, no way. No way. So Pittsburgh can win the game. Are Mason Rudolph and the Steelers going into Baltimore and winning this game by margin? Because that's what the point spread implies here. So I'll almost certainly have a bet on Baltimore. And then I'll make it really simple for the Saturday night game. Stroud and Minshew pick the winner of the game. I'll take Stroud. And I'll have a ticket on the Texans to win.
And anything else you love on Sunday?
Yeah, I think like in the games with playoff matchups, and like, I need a little bit of time and information to kind of digest what's going to happen with a lot of these like motivational spots, like our team's going to play there. Like, what's it going to be? So I do think there'll be some opportunity. I just don't know if we know what that's going to be at this point in the week. Green Bay's out to a full 3-point favorite at home against Chicago. I like the Bears catching 3 at the, and that's a point spread play. I don't know that there's much separating these teams right now. I think there's a case to be made like the Bears are better, like on a neutral field right now than Green Bay. If the point spread's going to be a full 3, it's going to be a bet on Chicago for me on Sunday, but it has to be like the full 3.
All right. All right. Finally here, New York Knicks are your team. Are you happy with the trade, OG Anunoby, who made his debut on Monday night? Are you happy with what the Knicks did?
A great win, by the way, over the Timberwolves. You love that for the Knicks. So 2-part answer. Do I like the trade for the Knicks? Yes. Nothing like. No, I think Toronto's going to use Barrett really well, but for what the Knicks wanted him to be, which is like a 3-and-D guy, right? Especially with Brunson, he can't do it. The guy he can't make threes consistently. Like, what do you do in the playoffs with this guy? I don't think he's ever going to give you much. So Anunoby is like a better version of that. And Barrett can still like have his ceiling unlocked and be really great. I just don't think it was happening here. Quickly was never re-signing. So I do like the trade, and I do think Anunoby is a better player than Barrett. I think that, though, the second part of this answer, I think that there needs to be another deal for the Knicks if we're going to talk about this team as a serious like championship contender, because they don't have what we call on the show like a title star, which is like the best player on a team that can win a championship.
Well,
like
were
Miami.
you offended with what Becky Hammon said about Jalen Brunson? Because I think she was I know she was 1,000% right.
I don't even know, what did she say? That Brunson's not the best player on a title team?
Well, that essentially, if your best player is a little guy, you can't win a championship. Well, and history would prove it to her. Unless you're Steph Curry or Isaiah Thomas, history proves she's right.
Yeah, I'm less interested in like the little guy part of it, and that's not because I'm short, just because like whatever, like you said, like what if it's Steph Curry? I'm less interested in that than I am in. I just don't think Brunson's the best player on a championship winning team. Like the height has nothing to do with it. He's not as
never
good.
The best player on the floor. Like the other team almost always has a better guy than Brunson, and I like Brunson a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, look, when they play like jabroni teams, he can be the best player on.
But every playoff team they play.
Yeah, like, or at least the teams that, like, if they play Miami, like, Butler's better than he is. Like, just like, it is what it is. Like, Butler is a title star. Brunson's not. Randall's not. Anunoby's not. So, like, are the Knicks better today than they were 72 hours ago? Like, yeah. But if this team's going to seriously contend for a championship, like, they have to get a guy that can be the best player on a championship team. They don't have it right now. So, there you go.
All right. Nick, finally, last question. Now that you are married, did you have to hide any of your pro wrestling fandom from your now wife before you got married? Or were you truthful? Because I was not truthful with my wife about it. Were you truthful?
In 2019, when we started dating, and I think my wife was more amenable to like my nonsense and like indulging my stupidity and the things that I really like actually sat. I don't know what pay-per-view it was. So my wife's name is Bianca. So her favorite was Bianca Belair because they have the same name. Okay. and she was like really into Bianca Belair. And I was like, oh my God, like, and this is just my girlfriend at the time. I was like, oh my God, like she likes wrestling. It's the greatest thing of all time. And then as time went on, it's actually like her least favorite thing now. She hates it. Yep. Like I can't like have it on in the room like when we're in the room together. She absolutely hates nothing more than she hates professional wrestling. So yeah, like she doesn't care that I like it. We just like can't watch it together.
Yeah. No, my wife is constantly scolding me that she has to go to bed, that she has to fall asleep every night next to me with wrestling on the television.
And I think like because I'm so busy during football season, my wife hates football. So it's like all my favorite things in life my wife despises. It's going to be a great next 40 years.
Nick, excellent job. Tell everybody how they can catch you on a daily basis. Go ahead.
Yeah, you bet 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern on weekdays. We're on radio stations nationwide, terrestrial, Sirius 160, XM 205, simulcast on Stadium, Sunday mornings on WFAN, and the Sunday morning live show 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. You can also catch me on Westwood One's national coverage of the NFL, doing betting updates presented by BetMGM, and social content for BetMGM on the BetMGM YouTube page with the Board of Spreads video every week.
Awesome. Great job, Nick. Thank you, pal. I appreciate you.
You got it. Wishing everybody minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. And let's go Roman coming up against The Rock.
Great job, Nick.